How does Ted Hughes reflect on the idea of violence in the poem Pike and Traces? Ted Hughes was a famous and important English poet and children writer of the 20th century. He is famous he is famous as a poet of violence. Violence is essentially one of his obsessive themes in his poetry. He seems to equate violence with vehement activity, a destructive one. Ted Hughes is highly fascinated by different kinds of violence, such as violence in love as well as in hatred, violence in the jungle, violence in the war, and violence in the form of murder and sudden death. But Hughes, in spite of knowing that violence is a disturbing factor and very often it proves fatal, feels it source energy. He thinks that without violence, bloodshed, murder, and sudden death, there would not be any excitement in human life, and human life would be a sort of monotonous. The poem Traces begins with a picture of the terrifying traces on the lawn. The poet first uses powerful images to project the predatory skill of the bird. He uses the images of terrifying coiled steel with deadly eyes and delicate legs. He takes a note of the birds, darting motions to pick at worms and insects. In the poem Pike, the example of phrases and lines which bring vivid pictures to our minds and which also startle us by their originally are green, the gold killers from the egg, the malevolent aged green, stunned by their own grandeur, submarine delicacy and horror, the jaws hooked, clamped, and fanged.